the Association of Fundraising Professionals South Sound chapter was thinking about hosting a National Philanthropy Day, much like the one in Seattle. At the same time, the South Sound Planned Giving Council was looking at this incredible opportunity in our region to get more people involved and knowledgeable and thinking about planned giving and charitable estate planning.
Well, it's a really interesting story. In 2012, South Sound Planned Giving Council was growing, and we were up to about 55 members then. And we wanted a full-time educational commitment by doing a day-long seminar or program. We didn't feel we could be successful with just our membership and the maybe 100 other people that we had on our mailing list. So we thought maybe teaming up with AFP would be a good idea. And as it turned out, both organizations had the desire to present a program that would feature a well-known international or national speaker and elevate our members' thoughts. And what enthusiasm we all caught through that committee. It was a wonderful planning committee.
And so we gathered at Jan Brazel's house. It was Barbara Hammerman. It was, of course, Jan, myself, Scott Clays, and James Flord. And we brainstormed with Post-it charts and
here in my living room, which is the birthplace, I say, of the South Sound Philanthropy Summit. And the goal that came out of that ended up being the subtitle of our very first summit. And that was Uniting to Unleash the Power of Philanthropy to Transform Our Community.
Our hope was to build connections between these two groups, financial advisors and professional fundraisers, to essentially increase philanthropy in our community.
We want people to have an afterlife, if you will, after getting together and sharing so many great ideas. And so we really kind of were frustrated as we're sitting around Jan Brazel's living room. It was fabulous, all these minds. And then I was pondering, we're saying, should we call it a convention? Should we call it a conference? And I finally said, I've gone to so many, as we all have, all of these meetings and conferences. And I want there to be something that we have to attain and something from which we can launch back to all these ideas. And I said, how about a summit? And everybody said, yeah, that's it. So I don't know if it was really the greatest name, but I know it was the end of the thinking. And we just decided this would be it. The result. The destination wasn't the date of the summit. It was what's going to happen after that. And the idea was to, in fact, create something that was active and a catalyst for further action.
This summit has evolved. And I think the biggest surprise as well as impact for me has been that the younger generation has come along and really grasped it and has helped to make it more meaningful locally, as well as continuing to bring in national speakers to help us, of course, learn beyond what we have the knowledge of right here in our community.
Well, I think what was most surprising was how quickly the Philanthropy Summit caught on. And both surprised and happy I am because of the co-chairs, Todd Blodgett and Emily Happy, who've challenged us to all address the DEIA head-on in the past few years. And it's been wonderful to see that support from our sponsors and especially the enthusiasm of the attendees.
It's been wonderful to be part of the summit for the last 6 years. I think in the last 6 years, we've seen the summit grow in size. First of all, we had over 200 people signed up last year, and we're expecting something similar this year. And so there are just more people participating in the summit every year, which makes it a much richer experience for everyone who attends. But I also think the summit has evolved from being more nuts and bolts, pure planning, pure gifts, pure educational about how to do planned gifts and philanthropic gifts. And it's become a lot more about community. It's become a lot more about the role of philanthropy in our community here in the South Sound. And it's become a lot more integrated, comprehensive approach to each of us and what role we in our organizations play in the charitable community here. So I'm really happy that it's become a more nuanced and full discussion.
Over the past 8 years, I've had the privilege of serving on planning committees as a as a presenter, and as a facilitator of our breakout sessions. And even some of my colleagues have given of their time and talent to this wonderful event. So we really feel a strong connection to the summit. I've been so impressed and so fortunate to hear from some of the best minds and talents of the philanthropic sector. We've seen an all-star cast of speakers and panelists. What I really appreciate is the range of topics and all the perspectives that have been brought before us, from neuroscience to charitable giving to next generation philanthropy and everything in between.
I've been co-chairing this event with Todd Blodgett for too many years, and I do promise I'm finally getting my face off the screen soon because it's time. But years ago, we wanted to tackle a big topic: diversity, equity, and inclusion in philanthropy. And we knew it was very likely that we would fall flat on our face, that we would try and fail miserably, but we still believed that it was important to try. So over the past 5 years, we've tried to tackle DEI and philanthropy from different perspectives and lenses: BIPOC philanthropy, next generation philanthropy, feminist philanthropy, LGBTQIA philanthropy, disrupting systems of inequity, and social justice.
So I had really an awesome opportunity to participate in the summit a couple of years ago, actually during the pandemic. And the philanthropy landscape is one that is notably a predominantly white landscape. And if I think about the most memorable moment and also consider the challenges that I've seen the summit take on, they took on the philanthropy landscape being a white landscape. And it was an amazing opportunity for me in multiple ways. Number one, because of the sheer boldness, the sheer audacity of the summit to want to engage in this subject matter, to take on the subject matter, and to bring it to a place where all the right people were at the table. Voices from Black, Indigenous, and people of color populations, philanthropists, people engaging in nonprofit work, people who were corporate responsibility individuals, and then folks who actually are responsible for giving the dollars. Having all of those people gathered in one place in the middle of a pandemic when there were not lots of other opportunities for engagement, and to have such a bold conversation was a memorable moment for me, because it was such the right time.
During these past 10 years, and I think about important conversations around next generation and generational perspectives in philanthropy. I also have really enjoyed the conversations around racial equity and justice, and I believe the conversations at the summit have really provided a venue and an opportunity for us to talk about ways in which we can center voices of people with lived experience in the conversation around resources and philanthropy. I also have appreciated so much the experience of thinking about and diving into information and the way data can help drive a more equitable philanthropic sector.
I think that there's been an awakening among fundraising professionals in particular, but also donors and advisors about the untapped potential for planned giving in our community.
The impact that has been most significant from my point of view has been this intersection between planned giving and major gifts fundraising. Yet it has also raised our collective consciousness. By that I mean the intersection between donor-centered fundraising and community-centric fundraising, as well as the importance of diversity in our work.
Another thing that's surprising and impactful is that people are coming from all over Washington State to this summit, not just local Thurston, Pierce, Lewis County, South King. It's people from all over coming because it's raised the level of philanthropy and professionalism here.
One of the things that I keep hearing and have heard a lot over the last few years is that the summit has really become a centralized place for various aspects of the philanthropic community to come together and talk about things from a global, holistic perspective that they might not get at the various educational seminars or the various events or the various organizations or each in our own organization. It's been clear to me that people really enjoy the opportunity to come together, to think deeply about the issues facing our profession and our community. And I think people have really come to appreciate the fact that it's kind of the one time of the year that we all come together. And the other part of it is the feedback loop as well. So every year we go out and we try to find out what we did well, what we could have worked on better, and just the fact that the community continues to stay engaged, continues to volunteer its time and resources, and continues to give us feedback about how we can make it better every year really contributes to the strength of the summit, makes it all possible in the first place. So
I think about our first summit and compare that fast forward to last year with Edgar Villanueva and CC Gardner-Glaser discussing the far-reaching impacts of decolonizing wealth. To 3 years ago, Tawana Nobles giving a lunchtime address to tell her story about walking onto the UPS campus for the first time and wondering if she could belong. To maybe 4 years ago it was, Dean Hanks standing up in the crowd and calling for real community transformation. I remember George Zeno last year encouraging us not to set ourselves on fire, to keep other people warm. To J.R. Nobles reminding us how to use Google and that he's not it. And these powerful moments have stuck with me throughout the years of the summit. And they've only been possible thanks to many generous leaders and experts in our community. So for our 10th anniversary, we tried to weave these threads together into intentional philanthropy. What do we want to create together? And believing that the bridge between aspiration, between vision and strategy and impact is our intention. I am thrilled to hear from the Eastside Community Center leaders and panel, because I think it will be a perfect illustration of what community can do when we're inspired to come together with intention. And we really do owe endless thanks to community and to our generous sponsors for believing in the importance of these conversations and coming together with intention year after year. From our sponsors, our speakers, our panelists, our breakout session experts, our committee members, and probably most of all, the guests and the thought leaders that bring these ideas to the streets and to your organizations and to your efforts every day. So the thanks really go all to you. And I'm just so proud to be part of this positive, collaborative, and intentional community.